Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Interview with a Dhampir, episode 4. Creature, what do we got today?
Today we're going over the Chupacabra, we're going over the DLC for Infamous Festival of Blood, and we're going to talk about the Masquerade from hit video game series Vampire the Masquerade.
Peak.
Theme, if you will.
Alright.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be going over, garlics and vampires. Garlic and vampires.
Garlics.
So I'm going to read these off and I want you to guess what they mean and why this was made to mean that they were like good against vampires, okay?
Alright.
Number 1, blood thinner.
It just makes it easier to drink the blood.
Yeah?
It was just something that we came up with.
Oh.
Or, well, that vampires came up with.
So the concept behind this one is, stew.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you want the broth to be thicker because that's more flavorful, and if it's like thin, it's really watered down and doesn't taste that good.
Yeah.
So eating garlic is a actual blood thinner, which means vampires won't want it because it won't taste as good.
Oh.
Number 2, purifier.
Yeah, I don't really get that part.
Garlic has disinfecting properties, and
Is it really?
yes, that's why the thing that we have to hold the rice has a slot for garlic to go into so that it can like keep it clean. But yeah, it is a disinfector. So yeah. Number 3, it used to be a repellent to all supernatural entities back in like the 1800s.
Interesting.
Now that, what do you think that means?
They don't like the smell, they don't like the taste, it messes with the flavor of the meat or the blood.
So people would like, instead of having a flavor cabinet, seasoning cabinet, they would just hang herbs or have an herb garden. And having garlic was very popular because it warded the home. One of the reasons is because it's an insect repellent, but the other reason was it was meant to guard you from demons, witches, like all supernatural entities, but over time it has just become focused on vampires.
Of course.
Heavily used by old medicine practices.
Well, you said it's a disinfectant,
Uh-huh.
and it's a blood thinner,
Mm-hmm.
so...
Yeah, you're correct. Started in Egypt.
Garlic They started using garlic as the repellent and the disinfectant and all that in Egypt?
Yep.
Okay.
And last but
Do you
not
know
least...
when?
No.
Okay.
This was a while ago. Someone decided to take a few 100-year nap, so...
Well, I had a small case of the Eepy Sleepy.
That's true. And last but not least, insect repellent.
It repels insects.
And do you know what people compare vampires to?
Mosquitoes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it works. All right. Any questions or comments about garlic or vampires?
Garlic bread is good. I could eat it every day.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim reference.
You were supposed to finish the reference.
Oh, was there anything else you wanted to say about this panel?
Bread makes you fat? No.
Okay. Next is Kane. So have you seen Kane's stat sheet?
No.
So because
in Masquerade?
yeah, Vampire the Masquerade is a very popular video game, but it is also like a D&D equivalent where it's a tabletop role-playing game. So there are stat sheets for monsters. Would you mind reading off Kane's stat sheet?
You fucking lose.
Uh-huh.
He's a trickster, demeanor is curmudgeon, first generation, sire is god, merits and flaws don't matter, 1 point of humanity, no willpower, very large blood pool, health, not really hurt at all, not really hurt at all, not really hurt at all, blah 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 blah, it's only a flesh wound, weakness, horrible parenting skills.
That's true.
Are we talking about Cain from the Bible?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
what about Abel?
You see that second image? Do you know who the lady behind Cain is?
Is that Mary?
No. You're close though. It is Adam's first wife.
Eve? Yeah, I have no idea.
Adam and Eve is the people that you know. Adam and Lilith Lilith was Adam's first wife, who got banished for seeking more power and wanting independence from Adam.
Okay.
So Cain will definitely be a choice for more information on. So I'll only give you a small, like, the starter of the story of Cain. So Adam and Eve had a bunch of children. Mm-hmm. Cain was one of those children. The story really starts at the point where Cain and Abel are told by God to give sacrifices in order to show their piety. Abel gave a bunch of fruits and vegetables, and Cain slaughtered animals in order to pray to God. Abel was more highly revered because of his innocence and his beauty of purity, whereas Cain, because he kills, is not as highly revered. And so God says, all right, I'm going to need a better sacrifice if you want the same level of blessing that I'm giving to Abel. And so Cain goes, oh, okay, I'll give you the thing I love most, Abel. So he kills Abel. And then after this point, God goes, ooh, that's bad. So he gets banished to the same place that Lilith is banished to. And Lilith, because of the fact that she sought independence from Adam, was in a covenant with God and Lucifer in order to gain more power, which is one of the reasons why Adam considers her to be a, like, whore. And so through this, they both work together through this and kind of become lovers. That one's kind of vague. And they work together within this, like, Pandorica? Purgatory. And gain power and stuff. The problem is, because of the fact that Eve is one of the most powerful witches in existence, or Lilith is one of the most powerful witches in existence, she can see Cain. And Cain, because he is the first murderer, is the best murderer. He is God's greatest murderer. So he has the ability to kill, quote unquote, anything. And in order to get out, they have to, like, kill the barrier or something. Again, very vague. And so what they do is, once they finally have enough trust in each other, Lilith fills a bowl with her own blood and has Cain drink from it. And because this happens, Cain becomes the first vampire. And do you remember what vampires were called before they were called kindred? Cainites. Oh. Because everyone came from Cain. And then the Camarilla took over, and they said, yeah, the antediluvians aren't real, Cain's not real, because if they are, then we're lower on the totem pole than we want to be. We're no longer Cainites, we're now kindred. And so after this point happens, and they escape from purgatory, Cain is visited by 3 different archangels of God. The first one to meet him is Michael. All 3 of the angels are rebuffed and told no to whatever deal they're giving, because he is meant to be working with them in order to find retribution or forgiveness. Michael curses Cain so that his children and him will all fear living flame. Raphael curses Cain so that his children will fear the sun, and the sun's rays will burn like Michael's holy fire. And Uriel cursed Cain and his children to fear the light and cling only to darkness. They will only be able to sustain themselves on blood. They can never eat again, and their bodies will be frozen at the point just before death. And then a 4th angel appeared, and which is Gabriel. And Gabriel said, all right, listen, you've said no to forgiveness 3 times. I'm here to give you your 4th option. I will give you the ability to bear children so that you can learn to love, and so that you can eventually find forgiveness, not only from God, but from yourself. And so that is how the process of siring came about. And that's where I'll cut that off. If you want to know more about Cain, how he created the 2nd generation, which is very unknown, the city of vampires, the witch, the crone, Cain's 2nd wife, who created blood bonding, the village of Nod, all that stuff. If you want to know about that, choose it as one of the things.
Okay.
All right. Any questions about Kane?
Did he lose one of his eyes?
No.
Why is he bleeding from the eyes in that picture?
That's not his blood.
Oh. No, that was pretty in depth.
Oh, I just want to be clear. Vampires in Vampire the Masquerade get weaker the higher in generation you are. So like if you're the 100th generation, you're weaker than someone who's the 99th generation. Can you guess how strong the first generation is?
Universal?
I don't like you. You're mean to me.
What? How am I supposed to measure it?
It's very. The answer is the strongest in existence. You know, disciplines, the things we went over last time, super speed, super senses, all that stuff. Kane invented all of those because he kind of, his blood is so strong. He just kind of goes, I want to see better. And he unlocks aspects, that kind of thing. All right. So any questions or comments?
No.
All right. Next. Real Chupacabra. First reportings 1995, Canovanas, Puerto Rico. The appearance is heavily debated, with people saying it is covered in scales or quills or spikes. It could have a long serpentine tongue, bat-like wings. It could be between 3 to 6 feet tall. Its eyes are either red or black, like so all the way throughout. Its name, El Chupacabra, means goat sucker in English. It got its name due to the fact that it mainly hunted goats, and all the evidence found for what the chupacabra was eating was multiple perforations, stab wounds throughout the neck and the abdomen of the goats that it drank from.
I did not know that the first reporting was in 1995.
You'll figure this out in a second, but there are 2 different chupacabras. This one is specific to Puerto Rico. It is
Puerto Rico.
What did I say?
Puerto.
Okay. It is like almost a religion in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Its appearance, as I said, is very debated. You can see the images in the top right. If you're an audio only listener, suck it, nerd. People just kind of said, yeah, my farm animals are dying. This sucks. And there are stab wounds, and most of the time they're drained of blood. A lot of the times they're not. It's a very vague, love vagary when I'm looking up specific information. Any questions or comments about the Puerto Rican chupacabra?
No.
All right.
I asked the question that I wanted to.
The hunt for chupacabra. Mayor Jose Soto led a hunt for the goat sucker in the back of a pickup truck with a crucifix and a goat in a cage to lure out the chupacabra. Because of the reason why this happened is because of the fact of following this, due to the impact of a monster roaming the countryside and how that could harm tourism, the government decided to step up. So they got scientists to determine the truth behind these attacks. The best they found was, it's like bats or wild dogs or something. So the mayor saw the problem of the chupacabra existing and people being afraid of it as hurting tourism. And because a lot of the money made in that section of Puerto Rico was the tourism and new people coming in, giving them money and then leaving, it was really bad if there was a monster roaming the countryside. So he hunted it down. I don't know how that went. I'm assuming it went great. They didn't find it, by the way, in case you're curious.
Of course.
Was there any questions about the hunt for chupacabra?
Why are you in the trailer with the goat?
Chilling.
How long did they actually try and
like a week?
Why?
What? Because there's a monster and it's hurting. It was literally bad for taxes. They lost money.
Why wouldn't they look for it longer?
What? How are you supposed to look for it?
They just gave up after a week.
Yeah, they said they killed it.
You get out there and you find that fucking dog.
You killed it. They found it. Like a weekend.
Of course. I doubt that.
I know.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. And now we'll start with the real chupacabra. Second sighting, early 2000s, Mexico and Southwest America. Descriptions are a lot more concise and focused in this one. A hairless, starved, 4-legged animal Though strangely, when corpses are found, they tend to actually be coyotes, dogs, and raccoons with birth defects or heavy mange. And I want to be clear here. The images that I got from this and a lot of the storyline that I'm telling is from the YouTube video El Chupacabras, A Modern Mystery by Monstrum from the channel Stories. I looked up a bunch of stuff on this and all of it was really badly organized and finding images was difficult. But this one, like this YouTube video, was very good and it helped me out a lot. So I wanted to be clear that this is where I got this from. There have been a lot of images of the Chupacabra of America because it's in America. So everyone has a lot more access to like spreading the information around. And it was the early 2000s, so cryptids were big. And whenever people brought in corpses, it was like bear cubs with mange, coyotes with mange, raccoons with mange. Mange is effectively your skin is so itchy that you keep scratching at it and it scabs over wrong, so the hair just kind of falls off over time.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of bald, like emaciated four-legged animals. Strangely, exactly how the Chupacabra is defined. And this one is the one where the triangle of like stab wounds and then it drains all your blood became the most popular.
Okay.
Any questions or comments about the Chupacabra?
Why would they just drain the blood though?
Thirsty.
Oh, of course, of course. No.
A lot of the time it was like it doesn't bite most of the time in stories. It's kind of like this proboscis, like from a mosquito, that would shoot out with 3 talons on the end of it that would stab in and then like drain you of blood coming from one of these creatures.
How they would go about that.
I was curious if this was going to take a bit longer, so I didn't include it, but Chupacabra in Puerto Rico is, as I said, kind of like a religion in the same way that the Mothman is kind of a religion in like rural towns around that place where they have like statues, posters, entire food establishments are built up around the Mothman. It's the same for the Chupacabra, where it became kind of a symbol of the fact that they were like ostracized and terrorized by America because Puerto Rico is a settlement, a place owned by America, but they don't have voting rights. They don't have anything that can actually affect America itself. So they were kind of using this creature that is being hunted by the government as a proxy for themselves. And there are bands about the Chupacabra and all that kind of stuff. It's incredibly popular there.
Interesting.
Any other questions or comments about the Chupacabra?
No.
All right. Next up, Myth, Infamous. There are no slides for this. We're just going to yap about a DLC for a game I love. So...
We are many. We are legion.
That's true. So, what did you think of Infamous Festival of Blood?
I thought it was very interesting. I did like the low attention to detail, like how you have your vampire sense and you can tell if there's a vampire in disguise because you can see like their veins and their heart, but if their heart isn't beating, it's a vampire. I thought that was interesting. Or it could be someone with like an artificial heart, but I don't think that technology existed back then.
That's true. So as with the World of Warcraft stuff, we're not going to get into the story of Infamous itself, so I'm not going to explain to you who Cole McGrath is or what an electric conduit is or anything like that. I'll just give vagaries about like conduits and stuff like that so I can better explain it. And we have pictures that I think are neat, so we'll go over those a little bit. Just to try to give a chronological explanation of the story real quick. Marco, the first vampire who is a blood conduit. Conduits have always existed within the Infamous universe. It's just a fact of a few years before this point, Cole McGrath, the main character of Infamous, is given the Arc Sphere, which is a nuclear bomb level electrical appliance, given to him by a Cole McGrath who has traveled to the past because everyone he knows and loves dies because he wasn't strong enough to defeat the Beast, which is a conduit who eats other conduits in order to gain power. And so the Arc Sphere explodes in the hands of Cole McGrath, and because he is an electrical conduit who can absorb electricity, it activates his conduit gene so that he can become an even stronger electrical conduit. And because of the Arc Sphere happening in this area, it activated a lot of people's conduit genes, so now there's a bunch of conduits, but conduits have always existed and some of them activate, which is why there are old stories of witches and stuff like that. And one of these people is Marco, who is a blood conduit who had the ability to infect blood and pretty much do everything that a conventional vampire does. Feed on blood, which gives them the ability to use special abilities. All right, so now that we're done with Marco, then we move on to Bloody Mary, or just Mary if you want. She was a beautiful lady from the time period that Marco was around doing stuff, and she was an orphanage matron who loved kids, and one of the kids gave her smallpox, and she was dying, and Marco saw her and went, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're too beautiful to die." And so they go around drinking blood and being evil because they're evil vampires. And then Father Ignatius kills Marco in order to free Mary because Father Ignatius has been obsessed with Mary for a while. And then because he thought that if you killed the vampire that turned someone, they would like free them from being a vampire, but that only counts if it's like the first day they were a vampire. Mm-hmm. So past that point, or until you see your first sunrise as a vampire. So past that point, Mary is now hunting down Father Ignatius because of the fact that Father Ignatius killed Marco, who Mary loved, until they hit the point where they reach the town that Cole McGrath is based in. And Father Ignatius leads a group of people with torches and rocks to go burn down the vampires. And Mary curses Ignatius that one day she'll kill all of the people in this town so that he can know what it's like to lose all the people that you love, just like Mary lost the person she loved. Father Ignatius had a barbed cross, which was super powerful and kills vampires. It's the one at the top left of barbed cross. It's really good at killing vampires for some reason. I don't know why. And then
they explained it in the game.
Yeah, it's silver from the Ark of the Covenant. It's baptized in holy water by the Pope in the Vatican.
And it has wood from the
spear.
Sacred cross.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's super powerful.
Yeah. It's all good. And then past that point, Father Ignatius dies. Years later, conduits are activating. Vampires kidnap Cole McGrath, main character of Infamous, and drag him on top of Mary's body. They cut his neck so that he'll bleed into Mary's mouth. And because of the fact that Cole McGrath is such a powerful conduit and an electrical conduit, he is a font of vitality, which instantly resurrects Mary to full strength. And now Mary turns Cole McGrath, and Mary has the ability that anyone she sires will instantly become like fully controlled by her once they see their first sunrise. So Cole McGrath now has 10 hours to kill Mary. Otherwise, Cole McGrath will be forced to take over and kill everyone for Mary. God, Jesus, the story of this game is really bad. Now that we're at the point where the game is telling the story, it's just kind of poorly told. And also the person we were watching play the game was really bad at the game, so it was a little difficult to follow sometimes.
From what I understood, he sees a coffin with like a cross-shaped symbol on it. Mm-hmm. He breaks it and gets like a spear that is also a cross.
Yeah.
And he uses that to stake other vampires.
You have to say the line that he says when he gets it. I know how this works. I've seen Dracula.
Yeah.
So he gets a cross with a wooden bit at the end so he can stake the vampires.
Yeah. Then he learns about the sacred cross and he just has to find it.
Yeah.
And just some random firstborn vampire, which is just like a really powerful vampire.
Firstborn vampire are the ones on the left. They look like bat people. Like, imagine a bat furry taken to its extreme. That is what you're looking at here.
Just some random firstborn has it, so he has to track it down, and then he just, like, connects his spear to the barbed cross.
Mm-hmm.
Which he tries to grab it and it burns him, so he uses his electricity powers to pick it up, and then he attaches it, and then he's fine.
Yeah, because he's not, like, a full vampire yet, so it just kind of sucks to have it.
Yeah. And then he just hunts down Bloody Mary.
That's true.
Oh, and she also said that she hates that there's a drink named after her.
What? Like, why would you drink alcohol before, like, 5 p.m. or 5 a.m. something?
Yeah, something like that. Well, I mean, Bloody Marys are used to treat hangovers.
Ew.
So, you drink too much, you get drunk, and then in the morning you drink more, but you drink a specific drink to help with the hangover, because that's just how it works.
None of this actually happened. It's just a story told by Zeke, but it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
And Zeke was telling the story to a girl to try to sleep with her, but it didn't work out. And at the end, we find out that the girl is actually a vampire.
Cole shows up and he's like, "Hey, I dropped my amp into a pool. I need you to get it for me." And he's like, "Don't you see that I'm busy?" And the girl goes from hitting on Zeke to hitting on Cole, and she's like, No. I could go for a swim right now. Come on, show me where it is." And they're like walking on, she turns around and she's like, "Oh, thanks for the,
Thanks for the, like, information. Or
yeah,
something.
thanks for the information." And then she shows her teeth and he's like, "Oh, shit."
Oh, vampire!
And then the credits roll.
Oh, vampire!
It was very interesting.
So now we'll get into, since we're done with story, we can just talk about the vampires and the rules about vampires in this world.
Too far, sorry.
Jesus. So, in the top right is Bloody Mary. She just kind of looks like a regular woman with red eyes.
Oh, there's that whole thing there. I hear they named a cocktail after me, the Bloody Mary. God, I hate that name. Yet it's
before 5 in the afternoon.
It's served with breakfast. When was it ever acceptable to drink before 5 in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's very blurry.
That's true. So Bloody Mary's most powerful subordinates are the Firstborn, which are the bat animorph things. And then the second strongest she has are like the Daughters of Mary, which are at the very bottom left. They're women who have Uzis, and they really like to cling to walls and like hang upside down from streetlights and just shoot you a lot. Mm-hmm. And then the regular vampires just kind of look like the Daughters of Mary. But these Firstborn will bite random people to turn them into like ghouls or pre-vampires, which are the gray guy right underneath the Firstborn. And they'll just kind of run at you with like pipes and try to hit you with them.
Yeah.
Cole McGrath is now a vampire, so he has a new power system outside of the electrical stuff, which is blood conduit stuff. You have to either drink blood or stake vampires in order to refill the bar that gives you those powers. And he drinks some people. Let me tell you that much. Mm-hmm. He drinks.
You have to drink the blood of 100 people, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to do this. This is so bad. I'm here to help the people." But you gotta kill 100 people to get the trophy.
You gotta.
Because apparently he can't just drink a little bit of the blood. They have to die.
They have to die. In this world, you choose who you turn into a vampire when you bite them. Like just randomly drinking from people it isn't an infection. It's a choice that the vampire drinking makes, which is nice.
I mean, in other forms of vampire media, instead of drinking your blood, they like inject their blood into you through their fangs. Mm-hmm. So I would assume it's something like that.
Yeah.
At the top right, you can see when he's using the spider sense. I mean vampire sense. Uh-huh. And you can see their veins coursing through their body. You can see their heart. And if there's no heart there, they're a vampire.
That is true. There's also the fact that vampires have like glamour or illusion, which allows them to hide as normal people. So if you find a firstborn out in the open world, they're really, really strong, but also they're very, very noticeable. So they're glamored as regular people. So if you sneak up on one because you notice it doesn't have a heartbeat, you can stake it before it leaves the human form.
Which I don't think the person playing did a single time.
Not a single time.
They even say, like, find the hidden vampires and stake them. That's why they give you 2.5 minutes. Instead, they decide, oh, I'm just gonna blast them and do the whole mini-boss fight. Like, an idiot. But yeah, they also have, like, writing on the wall to direct new vampires to, like, find their coven and to instruct them on how to survive. They can hide a doorway so it looks like a regular wall, but you can just walk through it. Yeah. I think only if you can sense it, though. They didn't really show it.
They never tried to walk through it without being in detective mode. So.
Yeah. Although they were able to... Once they were in the room, they could see out, and they didn't have to turn their vampire sight on to leave, so...
I'm fairly certain it's just a fact of there is no wall there. There is just a door, but you're, like, imagining a wall there because of the fact that, like, vampires glamored over it.
Yeah.
Alright.
So yeah, they got some really interesting powers. I really enjoyed that.
You turn into bats.
Oh, yeah.
That's the main thing you use the blood for, is to turn into bats and fly around.
Not a singular bat. You turn into a swarm of bats to fly at, like, a high speed.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with infamous Festival of Blood?
Blood. Oh, actually, you can see in this is his original spear, and then he just attaches that to the end of it. Just shinks it in there.
Yeah.
And that just makes his weapon all that much more stronger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was it.
Alright. Masquerade. The Masquerade. The Masquerade. The Masquerade. The Masquerade. The Masquerade. The Masquerade in general is the rules the Camarilla have in place to prevent the existence of vampires / kindred, which vampires are just called kindred to the Camarilla, to be widespread knowledge by the humans. During the 15th century Anarch Revolt, the Masquerade turned from don't kill humans in the street to hide everything supernatural that humans must never learn of our existence again. So, as we've talked about before, there are 3 factions within the Vampire Society, the 3 biggest factions. Do you remember what they are? There's the Camarilla.
Yeah, I don't remember the other names.
During the 15th century... It's on the screen right now. During the 15th century...
Anarch.
And then there's the last one, the Sabbat.
The Sabbat.
The Camarilla believe themselves to be the real vampire government. The Anarchs believe themselves to be above a government, so they just don't want to follow rules and avoid people. And the Sabbat hate the Camarilla and want to blow up every government building and hate all of them. Yeah. So, as kind of mentioned here, before the 15th century Anarch Revolt, the Masquerade was effectively just like, do whatever you want. We just don't really want to deal with humans because they're below us and we don't really care about them. After the 15th century Anarch Revolt, it was, oh god, we'll all die if they find out about us. So effectively, a small thing about it, because this will be one of the options, but just to give you a teaser. Effectively, the 15th century Anarch Revolt was the Anarchs decided, fuck all this masquerade stuff. You can't tell us what to do. If we want to kill people in front of a group of humans, we'll do it. And so they did. And then a lot of humans, turns out, a lot of humans with a lot of torches and a lot of rocks could fuck up some vampires. And they did.
Yeah?
To the point where they were worried about extinction. Because vampires are so much more powerful than humans, but humans are so much meaner. And smarter.
Yeah, of course. Having hundreds of years to perfect your craft, that can't be the craftiness of humans.
They don't use that time to craft anything.
They just use it to drink wine and be pish-posh and better than everyone.
Specifically better than other vampires.
Yeah. So...
Any questions or comments about this panel?
No.
Alright. And now we'll go over how each of the different factions handle the masquerade. The Camarilla, as the true vampire government, are the ones who make the rules that must be followed. So, of course, they have the highest respect for the masquerade. Generally, the Camarilla live within human society, so it is very important that they do not make a break. Like, the Camarilla, 9 times out of 10, are pretending to be humans. So, for them, a masquerade break is a huge deal because you are in a street with cameras around you. Don't be dumb. The Anarch tend to avoid human society and live in otherwise uninhabited zones, so they tend to be more open, but if a break happens, they tend to just kill that human or somehow convince the person to not tattle if killing is not an option. Like, if someone's powerful enough to not immediately be killed by the vampire, they'll just go, bro, come on, please, man, please.
Come on, man. Don't you want to be cool?
Come on, man. And they live in, like, forests and uninhabited areas, so if they want to rock out with their teeth out, they will. And generally, it's fine.
Fair enough.
The Sabbat, as the even truer vampire government, does not care about the rules in place by the Camarilla. But they do not want an inquisition pointed at them, so they follow the general rule of avoiding human interaction, but they will do as they please, as is their birthright.
As is my birthright.
So they generally, like, float between either living in human society or not. They do their best to pretend that they're following the old masquerade, where it's just leaving the humans out because we don't want to deal with them, and not that we're scared of humans, oh god. But they follow it no matter how much they say they don't. Any questions or comments about the Camarilla, Anarch, or Sabbat?
No.
No?
When I first read the Sabbat, I thought it said the Sabbat as the even truer gamer government.
That's true.
They're gamers.
That's true.
Which of them has the power to, like, mind control?
All of them?
All of them.
These are the, like, governments. There are multiple clans within each of these.
Yeah. So, why don't they just, like, mind control the humans and be like, hey, you didn't see shit?
They do.
But they say that they kill them.
What? No. The Camarilla try not to kill people. It's very difficult to cover up murder. It takes way too much effort.
Fair.
The Anarchs will just kill people because they don't really care, but they'll do other things if killing isn't an option. And the Sabbat will kill you because you're a fucking human. Why do we care?
As is their birthright.
As is their birthright.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
Alright. Next.
Right.
Masquerade breaks. A break/breach of the masquerade is any time a human notices that something not normal has happened, such as feeding, use of the 13 disciplines that is obviously inhuman, healing from a wound faster than medically possible, creating and maintaining a ghoul is technically a breach, but because it's so commonplace and a ghoul has never gone against their addiction, it is allowed. Do you remember what a ghoul in the Vampire the Masquerade is?
Isn't it just like a mindless slave?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't remember them.
If you give a human vampire blood, it gives you a higher high than any other drug in existence.
Oh.
So these are effectively high-functioning drug addicts that will kill in order to get another sip of blood. So, like, if you exist in a place and you want to kill people, the best thing to do is turn the police force into ghouls.
Fair.
The problem is, being a ghoul isn't necessarily noticeable, but if you've gone a week without your vampire's blood, you do kind of start to go crazy. So they are ticking time bombs, which makes them masquerade breaks, but again, they're so commonplace.
Yeah.
No one really cares that much.
Interesting.
Any questions or comments about what a masquerade break is?
I mean...
Do you remember the clan that is a masquerade break? Like, if a human sees them, they go, oh god, vampires are real.
Isn't that the Nosferatu?
It is indeed the Nosferatu. That's the one at the bottom left.
Yeah. They live in the sewers with the rats.
That's true. And I'm gonna ask this pretty much every time. Do you remember the rule for being a vampire about the Nosferatu?
You can't be beautiful.
No matter what you're doing or where you are, if you're a vampire, there's a Nosferatu in the room.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm. Because seeing them is a masquerade breach. So they're very good at not being seen.
Seeing is believing.
That's true.
Okay.
So, was there any comments going on?
No.
Alright. Next. Mending. So, what's a masquerade break?
It's when a human notices something unnatural.
What's a mending?
Don't
read it. I want your guess.
I'm not trying to. So, it's like when they have to fix a problem. So it's either like mind control a human or a group of people, commit murder.
Effectively
like
fixing a breach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When a breach happens, the process of making sure that the information leak is taken care of is called mending. Whatever means necessary will be taken. The Camarilla tend to rely on the Ventru, who have turned mending into an art. Do you remember the Ventru? The Clan of Kings, Blue Bloods.
The Royals.
They have a lot of money. They're all like very popular, so they can kind of pay off the people with the cameras and stuff like that. So there are things called mending squads, and the Ventru typically are the mending squads for the Camarilla. The Anarchs don't have mending squads. They just kill you. Or they will cause a breach and then throw the problem at the Camarilla and go, ha ha, you have to deal with this now. The Sabbat only follow out of self-preservation, so they would never have mending squads. It just so happens that groups of the Sabbat can be paid in order to fix breaches. That's not a mending squad, though. We don't care.
It's not a mending
Humans
squad.
are below us. We don't care.
And it would never happen anyway. Why would we care?
That's true. Any questions about mending?
Clean up an aisle floor.
That's true.
Why did they let the Anarchs survive? It seems like they're just a problem.
The Camarilla are kill on sight for Anarchs.
Huh.
Just, what are you gonna do?
Genocide?
They're trying.
Try harder.
That's true.
What is that picture from?
Oh, that's what it looks like when a Camarilla mends.
The destruction of a city?
We'll get there.
Of course. Yeah, that was it.
Alright. Punishment for breaking the masquerade. Death. Not just the person who made the breach that had to be mended, but every person they know, because they allowed the breach to happen. And all the vampires in the area, just to make sure they don't think they will get away with it either. The Camarilla will burn you, everyone you're connected to, your sire for creating such a stupid fucking idiot, every vampire within a mile radius because they were stupid enough to allow you to exist within a mile of them, and then they'll just kill a few more people just to make sure everyone knows, don't be that fucking stupid.
Sometimes you just have to send a message.
They really do.
That looks like a Dhampir.
It is. It's the same image I used in the previous one. I just like the image and the suffering.
It's a good image.
It's a good image.
God, it sounds like they would kill a lot of people.
Does this image make more sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. They do. They kill. Because if it's a breach to the point where the person who caused the breach can fix it, there's not that big of a deal. If it's a breach that causes you to need to look into it, you have now annoyed the higher ups in vampire society, and that's never good.
Don't wake Dad.
That's very true. Any questions or comments about the punishment for breaking the masquerade?
No.
All right. That's the end. So we have a vampire to speak to today. Sadly, we got there too late. They were staked before we got there. But as we learned in the vampire Yu-Gi-Oh, there are vampire ghosts. Some would even call them phantoms. It's kind of a glitch for a vampire to turn into a phantom. Almost like it's a glitched phantom. The person who recorded this was Glitched Phantom, famous YouTuber. I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
All right, you ready?
And I want to be clear beforehand. Once again, I was very unclear about what we're doing. So again, a vampire in their hubris has decided that this was about them. So they're going to read off their chosen topics. So once they're done speaking, I'll actually give the recommendations and then we'll move on from there.
Okay.
Here are the recommendations for the next interview with the Dhampir. For the myth, we have Monster Hunter. For the real, we have fungal vampires. And lastly, for the masquerade, we have ghouls.
She made a weird snarling noise. I think she was hungry.
That's true. Ghosts, you know?
Ghosts, yeah. Phantoms, even.
Phantoms, even. Glitched phantoms, some might say. So, for the myth, we have the Sand Lane from World of Warcraft, Monster Hunter, and Harry Potter. For the real, we have squid, mosquito, and fungal vampires. And for the masquerade, we have more on a clan, more on ghouls and some of the famous ghouls, and whites.
We haven't covered whites, have we?
Nope, you've never heard of a white.
Okay. So, I would like to do Monster Hunter because, you know, I'm very into Monster Hunter and I've been playing Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm interested to see what you have to say about squids. And I'm gonna say whites as well.
Alright.
Alright.
Locked in. My next PowerPoint will be made. It'll be great. It'll be sick. It'll be awesome. Anything you want to say about the PowerPoint as a whole? I think I kind of cooked with this one.
I think you kind of cooked with it.
I think I kind of.
Is there another slide?
No.
Okay. I like how you put yourself into the slides. I was a little scared when you multiplied.
I forgot to say like, comment, subscribe at the intro.
Oh no. I'm glad that all of the copies have been taken care of though. You do wonderful work.
Thank you.
Alright. I think that's it.
Right.
Any closing statements?
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. And thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.